Yo, who's the Pat Hoban reject?
What's up, my name is GageXScapegoat. I'm a YouTuber that does deck profiles, I do rants, and I do discussions such as the one you're about to see today.
Let me give a huge thank you to Paul from Team APS for letting me post on the channel. I always appreciate it. So anyways, we're talking about innovation today. So if you spend more than 5 seconds on my channel, you're going to realize that I'm an anti-meta player. My favorite thing about Yu-Gi-Oh! Is innovation and how much variance can play into Yu-Gi-Oh! And things like that, like how much there is that goes into Yu-Gi-Oh! That being said, innovation is an extremely hard tightrope to walk, mainly because there's usually a better option to play. I'll give you a couple examples. So first, Capital G made a skill drain deck that played like Barbaros, King Tiger Wangu, and stuff like that, and he made it just like a Beast and Beast Warrior type deck so he could run Horn of the Phantom Beast and other cards like that. Now the problem with this is you could literally just run TGs and just run a better deck. TGs can replace themselves and keep their engine going, have much better potential for synchro and exceed plays, and they can operate under literally the exact same cards. One of my favorite decks of all time is Traptrix, and Rafflesia did nothing but improve the deck. However, the problem is you could literally just run Traptrix and just run a better deck. Traptrix have a better monster lineup, much better support cards, have easier and more consistent exceed plays, and can easily splash in cards like Time Space and just run Rafflesia in their extra deck since the card's generic. Now don't get me wrong, innovation can work and has worked many times in the past. If you wanted an easy and pretty much surefire way to beat Burning Abyss from earlier this year, you can just run Scythe Control. And Scythe Control in and of itself, what? You take a set of Curry Bandits, you throw in a Traptrix engine, you throw in an Artifact engine, and basically you use cards to get to those pieces, and you run different artifacts you wouldn't normally run, like Scythe for example, or Caduceus, so that you're able to better off, like be able to plus off your plays and be able to stop your opponent's extra deck summons. Back in 2013, if you wanted pretty much a surefire way to beat Spellbooks and Dragons, you just ran Gravekeepers. Oh no, I have to worry about Evil Swarm? Okay, I'll just run a Guard and 2 Fossil Dyna in the main deck. Cool. Hell, one of my favorite cards of all time is Dark Bribe. The only reason why I knew about it is because some dude took Madolches and then topped Nationals a couple years ago with it. Hell, there was a dude that topped Nationals a couple years ago running a Chaos anti-monster deck. There are those crazy guys that somehow accomplish the crazy things. But for innovation to truly work, this is kind of what has to happen. First, there can't really be any better options. You could take a deck and it could work against everything, but if there's a deck that's like 3 steps above it, then why not just play the deck that's 3 steps above it? It needs to be good against just about everything in the meta. You can't take a deck and say, hey, this is really good and it's innovative, but then have it lose to like half the decks in the format. And lastly, it needs to have a consistent win condition. Scythe Control. You take Scythe, stop them from going into the extra deck, you make Reg 5s, you prevent their shit from hitting the graveyard, and then you just tempo them. Gravekeepers against Dragons and Spellbooks. Hold on to Necro Valley for dear life. And then you have those other random decks that'll just kind of pop up out of nowhere because their matchups suddenly against the meta turn really, really good. Evil Swarm was an okay deck, but whenever it came time for Spellbook Dragon format, like, it could easily just destroy dragons if you go into Ophion and protect it with a couple trap cards, and you can main deck Eradicator to stop Spellbooks. Even a deck like Wind-Up's past its prime, like, it could very easily take down decks like Fire and Water whenever those are the most represented decks. And even decks that are more innovative than others, like a Chaos anti-monster deck that top-8 Nationals back in 2012. You know, you main deck hate cards like Thunder King, Valor, use Birdman so you can go into Arcanite and Black Rose your opponent and stuff like that. In addition to using Chaos Sorcerer and BLS, they can just banish it and get rid of it, and usually unless they're main decking Return, which no deck was at the time, you could very easily just get rid of your biggest threats and then tempo your opponent. All of these decks and all these ideas have something in common. For the most part, they were good against everything in the meta, they had a consistent win condition, and they were pretty much the best options to play for decks of those sorts at the time. And if a deck can't walk that tightrope, it's probably not going to do very well. At least if you're trying to be innovative, that is. So yep, that's what I got to say on innovation. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, special thanks to Paul for letting me post on the channel. And yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Catch you next time. Peace.